Hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me. Yes, yay! Thank you so much. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here with you. Today I have a special guest with me. This is Eugene Ruffalo, who many of you have, maybe you've seen me play with him before, because he's joined me in a few lives in the past. And he sings on a lot of my recordings and plays guitar on a lot of my recordings that I'm sure some of you have heard, like Thy Will Be Done and Deep Peace. And, and Eugene is just incredibly talented, so I feel so fortunate that he's joining me today to play and sing. And yeah, I'm really happy to be able to share this time with you to explore the subject that is just such a powerful one, the longing heart. And we're going to talk about longing, but really do more music today than talking, because I think longing itself is an experience that we have to enter into, as opposed to something that our intellectual mind can pull apart. But we'll use our mind and our heart. So welcome to all of you. It's so nice to be with you. And off we go. So just so you know, my sessions usually run about 90 minutes. Because that's the amount of time that I feel it takes to really delve into a subject. So please stay as long as you can, and I hope for however long you're here that you receive whatever you need for this moment in time. And it's just so, I always feel like it's such a special moment to be able to come together as this virtual Sangha, and to open our hearts together, and to just, have this time to focus on what really matters in life, the things that are so important, our hearts. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So I'm going to begin with an invocation, and those of you who attend my programs regularly know that I always start what I do with an invocation. I know this is blocking my face, but it's easier when I sing. I'll lift it up. I think an invocation is just a really important way of acknowledging that we're entering into like a sacred time together, that this time is not just an ordinary, day-to-day conversation, but it's a gathering of truth. It's satsang. Satsang is a gathering of truth when we come together to talk about what's real, to talk about things below the surface. And that's what we're here to do together, to just be in our humanity together and explore what is really important. So an invocation is just a way of saying, like, we're going to cross over a threshold into this space together. And usually I sing the same invocation every time, but since I have Eugene here, we're going to do, I have multiple invocations that I like to sing. And but usually through the pandemic, I've been doing my programs by myself, because it hasn't been possible to have a band or a lot of accompanists. But today I do. So I'm going to sing a different invocation today. And this invocation is a beautiful passage from the Vedas. It's just a short phrase that I sort of turned into this song, or I put into this music. The words are Krato Smara Krutam Smara, which from the translation that I've learned essentially means, "Oh my soul, remember how much you've strived for to get to this point. Remember what you're here for." Smara comes from smarana in Sanskrit, which means to remember. So I think that's just a beautiful prayer, because it's basically saying, think about everything our souls have been through to get to this moment in time. All of the beautiful things, all of the challenges, all of our struggles, all of our different incarnations that we have in this lifetime, other lifetimes, if you believe in that. But we are all on a journey, I think, back to a place that we've never left. We just think we've left it. So we're on a journey of remembrance. And when we sing this mantra, it's just a call to our soul, to that part of us that is on that journey homeward, to just say, remember, I see you, I honor you, thank you for all that you do to help me remember who I am. So that's what this invocation is. So it's just a really beautiful concept. So Krato Smara, Krutam Smara, and then we sing, my soul remember, and as you sing, or as you just listen to it, you can really feel, make that connection to that part of yourself, whatever that word means to you. Soul, that's probably a huge conversation. These things are all mysterious, but that part of us that is longing, or that is, accompanying us on our journey, that is like the essence within, that we remember, that we connect to that, we come back to it, because we're usually wandering away. So this is a call to come home, to come back. Covered in wires over here. it's not a pretty scene down here. Okay. We're going to start by chanting 3 ohms, and if you're welcome to join us. It would be wonderful if you wanted to join us. This kind of music that I sing is not like a performance or even entertainment. It's music for spiritual awakening, and it's music that's meant to help us come inward and to, come inside of our hearts. So it has nothing to do with having a good voice. You don't have to be a singer or anything. It's just about being in that place of feeling and expressing whatever you feel through sound. So your voice is beautiful, and when you make the sound om, when you tone the sound om, don't just do it. If you do make the sound, don't just do it, with your voice, but feel it like your whole body is making the sound, like every cell is feeling the vibration. Feel it, and let every cell in your body awaken through the sound. This is the most beautiful sound, om, the cosmic sound. You can just take some relaxing breaths. No need to force anything, but just gather all your energy here and arrive in this moment. So come back to yourself. Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara. Oh, my soul, remember what you came here for, my beloved soul. Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara. Oh, my soul, remember what you came here for, my beloved soul. came here for, my beloved soul. Kratos mara, Kratom smara, Kratos mara, Kratom smara. Oh, my soul, remember, oh, remember who you are. Oh, my soul, remember what you came here for, my beloved soul. You are the light of love. You are the light of love. Oh, my soul. So connect to those words, whatever that means to you. My soul, remember what you came here for. Whatever that is, if that's your deepest longing, what are you longing for? What is the longing in your soul, the deepest longing in your soul? You don't have to know it with your mind. You can feel it with your heart. So we sing this call to our soul. We say thank you so much to my soul for all that you've done to get to this place, to this moment in time, all you've been through. Thank you so much. Remember who you are. Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara, Kratos mara. Oh, my soul, remember what you came here for, my beloved soul. You are the light of love. You are the light of love. You are the light. Oh, my soul. Sadhana, 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 remember, sadhana, remember who you are. Oh, my soul, my soul. Remember what you came here for, my beloved soul. Come home. Come home. Come home. Hari Om, Hari Om. Come home. Hari Om, Hari Om. Come home. Oh. You can sing Om with us. And sing it with your whole being, every cell. God.
remember, remember who you are. You are yourself.
Thank you. Oh, my soul, remember who you are. So today's theme is longing, the longing heart. And I think this is a really beautiful theme, and one that doesn't get spoken about that often. It's interesting, if you Google longing or something, often when you Google things, millions of pages and things come up, and definitely if you Google longing or spiritual longing, there are things that come up, but not that much. That's kind of interesting, from my experience, from my searches. So, what is longing, and what is this feeling of longing that many of us have, but either have not allowed ourselves to explore or to feel into, or that we've pushed away or run away from? Have you ever had the experience? I think it's a very human experience of, standing under the night sky or something in a vast place and feeling this incredible awe, and this feeling that I can only think to describe as longing or yearning. This sense that, like, I want something, but I don't know what I want. I want something, but it's not anything that I can think of or anything I can define. I'm sure you know what I mean. I remember just last week, I think it was last week, but the stars were really beautiful, and it was like kind of a cool night, and I just like stopped where I was and looked up at the sky, and I just had that feeling, like, this yearning, but I couldn't figure out, I couldn't name what it is that I was yearning for. It was just this nameless sense, this nameless pull in my heart. I think we all know that feeling. But oftentimes when we feel that longing or that yearning, it's very uncomfortable, because the feeling of longing is, by nature, it's unrequited, right? Like, unrequited love is a very painful feeling. It's like something that is a hole that we can't fill. And so that yearning feeling is a very uncomfortable place to be. But many mystics and great saints through the ages have seen and shared the power of that place, of that somewhat uncomfortable space, of that yearning, of that sort of cup that's longing to be filled. That's a place of power for many people on the spiritual path, because it gives like a fuel to the journey. And that feeling of longing, when it's really embraced and felt into, becomes almost like a fire or something that removes the veils, of illusion that keep us from what our heart is really desiring, or from what's really important. Oftentimes we just get so diverted, and our energy and attention just go so far outside that we turn away from that longing, or when we feel it, it's very uncomfortable, so immediately we want to cover it over, with other things. We want to fill it up with something. It's like a hole. It feels almost like a hole. Like, I gotta fill it with something. I gotta get something. I gotta make it go away. I want to push it away, or I need to, consume. But the truth is, no matter how much we consume, that subtle, unrequited feeling is often still there. The metaphor that I think I've shared before, that I think is so perfect for this, is the metaphor of the hungry ghosts, which in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, it's a beautiful philosophy, but there's different realms, and one realm is the hungry ghost realm. And hungry ghosts are beings who have really tiny mouths and huge stomachs, and no matter what they do, no matter what, they just cannot get satiated. I've even read that, like, the utensils that they try to eat are so big that they can't bring them around to get them in the food in their mouth. It sounds horrible, but we are very much like hungry ghosts. It's we're constantly wanting to just consume more and more, but our belly is so big and we can't take in enough, you know. And that's that feeling of like, I'm satiated for a minute, but then I need something else because I'm not really full, you know. And that just goes on and on and on, you know, whatever it may be. You think, oh, I want $1 million, and you get $1 million. Like, no, now I want $2 million. Oh, I have a house, now I want a bigger house, now I want a bigger house, I have this and that. It goes on and on, because what we think we're longing for doesn't really ultimately fulfill us in the deepest place, you know, if that makes sense. So I personally differentiate between craving and longing. Craving, you know, if you read just basic Buddhist philosophy, the Buddha taught that our craving, desires, and attachment are often what lead to our suffering, you know, for many different reasons. But I think longing is a very different thing from craving. Craving, this is just my point of view, but craving is like a grasping for things that are outside of us that can never fulfill us. And it has almost like a compulsive, very anxious quality to it. You know, I want this person, I want this thing, I want this ice cream, I want this car, I want this job, I want this identity, you know, keep wanting and wanting and wanting. But when we're craving for something, it just doesn't quite fulfill us. And actually, in some ways, it takes us away from ourselves. It takes us out of ourselves when we're craving for something and running after that all the time. Whereas longing is very different, I think. Longing is like an inward pull. It's a pull from something within us that is drawing us back inside, if that makes sense. I, I'm curious if that resonates for you, but I think longing is something that is not outside of us. It's a yearning for what we already are, but have forgotten. Craving is like a grasping at something that really isn't us, you know, fame, identity, you know, whatever, the dressing up our personalities, achieving things, acquiring things, all of that, you know. It's just part of the egoic human game that we all play because, you know, that's what we're doing here. But there's something deeper underneath that, and it's the pull. It's a pull within us to come back, and it's an ache, because I think what it really touches on is that desire to not feel separate from the source of our being, by however you want to, you know, think about it, or however when you talk about it. There is this sense of the separation that we feel from our own heart, you know, or from each other, or from the planet, or from whatever it may be. That separation is like a little thorn in our foot, or a little thorn in our heart, you know. It hurts. And there's that desire to go beyond the feeling of separation, to feel oneness, because oneness, as far as what the mystics have taught us, is really our nature, is really something that's most true. So longing, we often misplace it onto things on the outside. But if we could just allow ourselves to be with that, to feel it, and to look underneath it, we might keep peeling away. I think I'm longing for this, or I think I'm longing for this, but we've got to go deeper. You know, what's underneath all of those kind of surface longings, surface cravings, to get to the root of our longing, that source of our longing, which is what the great souls, the Mahatmas and the sages throughout time have really been showing us. You know, if you read any mystical poetry from so many traditions, it could be the contemplative Christian tradition, you know, you could read Teresa of Avila, or you could read St. John of the Cross, you could read in the Hindu tradition, so many different traditions, you know, Kabir, Mirabai, Rumi, Hafiz, so many great beings who shared their experiences. So much of their experience was this experience of yearning for the beloved. You know, Mirabai, who was a great saint, a poet saint from northern India, you know, she said, the heat of midnight tears will bring you to God. You may think, oh, that's a bummer, you know. I don't want to have to cry my way to enlightenment. But actually, in the bhakti path, that expression of feeling, that longing and that yearning and channeling it towards something greater, it is really the path in a lot of ways. And this music that we're singing, that we're going to sing more of today, is a way of channeling that. So it's like a vehicle for our longing, you know. Rumi said, "There's no greater love than love with no object." And so when we direct our energy and our heart into that longing, it's not necessarily directed towards something or someone, although it could be. It could be directed to a form of the divine that you relate to, or to a quality, like justice or peace or love or whatever, we can direct it towards that. But there's like a nameless longing, and when we sing and we open our heart, we just kind of pour it out towards that. And then the longing becomes its own fulfillment, interestingly enough. Like I've had so many times that I've really tried to run away from those feelings of longing because they're just terribly uncomfortable. But if I hadn't allowed myself to sit in those feelings of longing at least a tiny bit, I probably never would have discovered music in any way, because the music was born out of like the friction of wanting something and I didn't know what it was, and that desire that felt like it could never be requited sort of created the music kind of emerged from that, if that makes sense. It wasn't like I sat down one day and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write a little song or whatever. It didn't come from that place. It came from that place of that ache, that we know just as human beings. But that is a very fertile place of possibility. If the Buddha, of course, taught us that craving leads to suffering, but if the Buddha didn't have longing himself, he would never have left his comfortable life in the palace where he lived to go seek enlightenment. He would have just stayed there. But he was deeply unhappy. He felt like it was deeply unfulfilling, and it was that craving and that longing that led him to change his life and to leave his comfortable palace and to go out into the forest and eventually to sit under the Bodhi tree and to awaken. So longing is a seed within all of us that we can water. It can teach us so much, and it can really draw us back to ourselves, to reveal these mysteries that are in our heart that are wanting our attention, if we would only look and stop turning away, if that makes sense. So we're going to sing a little song, and this song I just think is beautiful because it's not a song, it's a mantra. A mantra is man is the mind, tra means to cross over, to protect. So a mantra is something that protects our mind from itself, and it helps us go beyond our mind to the other shore. So mantras have different purposes. There's a lot to say about mantras in general, but they are really like an instrument of sacred sound that is imbued with awakened consciousness, you could say, because they were revealed by enlightened beings. So when we chant them, when we hear them, it's like we're tapping into that electric socket of those who revealed them to us. So the mantra that we're going to chant, and it will kind of be a little medley of different mantras. Something that Eugene and I really enjoy doing together when we sing is to just improvise. And so this is not like a song that we wrote. It's just us joining our voices and improvising around the mantra. And I think that creates like a very spontaneous feeling it feels really beautiful to sing in that way. So the mantra, I think many of you know it. I haven't sung it here before, but it's aham prema, which means I am love. And what I love about this mantra is that Amma, who's my spiritual teacher, said once, I think I've shared it before, but she said, don't imprison love between I and you. When we say I love you, we imprison love between I and you. What we need to say is I am love. Because an I am love, to feel that, to know that place, I think is a deep yearning in every one of our hearts, whether we know it or not. Even if we try to pretend it's not there, or we get cynical about it, or snarky or sarcastic, we think it's all BS or whatever we all think. Underneath it all, there is that desire to feel that. And so this mantra is so beautiful because it's that affirmation. I am love. My love isn't imprisoned. Between I and you, it's free. Love should liberate us. Love does liberate us. It frees us from everything that binds us. So aham prema, and then we'll probably sing Shri Ram Jai Ram, because I always go into that. Shri Ram Jai Ram is a beloved, beautiful mantra. And really all these mantras, they come from the same place. They're just different fractals of the one consciousness, you could say, that has different emanations, different qualities. So, aham prema. And I really invite you, when you hear this, to just sit with that feeling or that question of longing. Could you just allow yourself to just find that place and just be with it and not run away from it just for this moment, to just feel it and just hold that contemplation of what you're really longing for and feel it just in your heart without needing to fix it, or fulfill it or do anything, because there's nothing broken when we feel that. It's actually not a problem, even though it feels like one. It's actually an incredible possibility and potential, I think.
Aham Brahma, 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 Aham Brahma. Don't imprison love between I and you. Don't imprison love between I and you. Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, 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 Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, don't imprison love between I and you. Don't imprison love between I and you. Don't imprison love between I and you. Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, I'm love, I'm love, I'm love. Shri Ram, Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama. Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Rama, Jai Rama, Shri Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma. Really meditate on the meaning of these words. Aham Brahma. I am love. This is not really something that our mind can understand. This is a feeling and a knowing in our heart. I'm not my name, my personality, my achievements, or my identities, but I am love. I am truth. I am peace. I am all of these things. This is what the mystics have told us through the ages. From all traditions, they all had these similar experiences dressed in different forms. So what is your form? What does it mean to be love? What if your longing was its own fulfillment? What if what you're longing for is actually already here, not something else somewhere else, or something that you'll finally get sometime down the line? But what if it's right here, right now? Just let that be a possibility. Don't imprison love between I and you. Don't imprison love between I and you. Don't imprison love between I and you. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, 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 Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai 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 Ram, Jai Jai Jira, Jira, Jira.
Thank you. I love to sing these mantras because it's really an opportunity to just fall into the longing, you know, like it, to sing mantras, to chant is a way to forget oneself, you know, and when we forget ourselves, that is a good day. Because, you know, it can really be tiring and exhausting to think about oneself all the time. Just think about the loops that are constantly, you know, going around me, mine, I. It's so tiring. So different types of spiritual practices offer us different medicine, you know, and in the Bhakti yoga tradition, which is the yoga of love and devotion from which the practice of chanting comes, it's a way of offering ourselves into that longing, into that feeling in our heart, and to sit in the unrequited, you could say. There's a quote from Mevlana Rumi. He said, "Do not seek for water, be thirsty." That's so great. Do not seek for water, be thirsty. And there are so many beautiful stories of saints who, you know, spent their entire lives devoted to their spiritual path with the hope to that they would, you know, either become enlightened or merge with infinity, whatever language you want to use. But there were many saints who said, I don't want to merge completely in that because I always want to feel that tiny little bit of separation so that I can feel that longing because there's a sweetness to it. You can't quite say it's sad. You know, I have a friend and he always felt like he was sad all the time. And I said, I'm not sure. Are you sure it's sadness? Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's longing. And he said, Oh, longing. I think it is longing. I think longing is in a way more what that feeling is because it's a sadness, but it's not only a sadness. There's like a sweetness in it. Like if you fall in love with somebody and you're longing to see them or you're longing for them, it hurts, you know, but it's also there's like a sweetness to that hurt in a way because it opens our heart. It opens us. That yearning, it like all of those defensive, you know, the barbed wire that we build around our heart, that protection. You know, we all have these moats, these concrete around our hearts, and everywhere we go, especially in today's world, which is just so intense. You know, we're all walking around like kind of like ready for the next thing, and it's really challenging sometimes in this world with, you know, sometimes can feel like an assault of just information and opinions and just so much coming at us all the time that we find ways to adapt to that, often by protecting or shielding our heart, building walls around our heart, and you know, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not really into the like good, bad, right, wrong when it comes to things like this because our being is intelligent. If we've been hurt, we often build protection to try to take care of ourselves. So we can't be mad at ourselves for that or shame ourselves for that. It's what we know in the moment to try to take care of ourselves. But at a certain point, that armor, if it's always there, we can't breathe. You know, we feel like asphyxiated. We feel like we're separate from life. It's like life is there and I'm over here. You know, I've had that feeling sometimes of like my being feels like a foreign land that I don't understand. I feel so estranged from it. So longing, like I said before, it kind of like pulls us back into ourselves. And if you think of it almost like a fire or like a flame, it kind of burns away whatever is stopping us from connecting to that place. All of those habits of closure and protection, it it clears that away. And it is uncomfortable sometimes. But if we can just sit with that and not run away from it, not try to fill it up with something all the time, which is what we're taught to do in this world that we live in, there's incredible, uh, I think, potential and incredible peace that can come on the other side of that. It's like if you feel really deeply sad and you know you're kind of like pushing that away, you're like, I'm just not going to feel it. I can't go there. I can't open that up. If I open it up, it's going to be like a wave that just come crashes over me. You know, we feel that way a lot. We often feel like I'm not going to be able to deal with it if my emotions arise. So we just try to keep them away. But I don't think that that's true. You know, under the right conditions and when we feel safe or when there's trust, you know, we can meet whatever is inside of us with love, including those feelings of longing. We can let ourselves be with that and then it becomes like a rainstorm that passes if we just stay with the emotion. Usually we're on it, on that wave, riding that wave, and then at some point we're like, oh no, I'm off that, man, I'm going off. But if we could just stay it, ride it, it opens up to something else. No rainstorm, there's never been a rainstorm that lasts forever, as far as I know. Usually a rainstorm, it has its moment, it comes and it goes. So when we allow that rainstorm to move through our being, which it does, when we've touched that longing, we realize that maybe what we think we're longing for is something different than maybe what we imagined. And longing in the Bhakti Yoga tradition is a really important stage on the path, or a really important part of the path, because it's like a fuel or a fire that moves us in a direction. So I wanted to sing, we are going to sing Thy Will Be Done. I know a lot of people in my circle really like that song, and I also really love that song, and I love to sing it with Eugene. And, I think Thy Will Be Done is a song that I wrote, some of you know, after I spent time in Assisi, Italy, which is just a place that I truly love, and I feel a deep connection to St. Francis, the amazing St. Francis. And the St. Francis prayer, I'm sure many of you know, make me an instrument of your peace, and it goes from there. It's really a song about surrender. As I sing in the song, may the will of my heart be done, not the will of my head. And I think surrender and longing are very interconnected. In longing, there's nothing that we can really do about it. We can try to run away from it, we can try to snuff it out, we can try to fill it with something. But at a certain point, if we're really going to just touch that place or feel that and trust the wisdom within it, there is almost like a surrender that happens. There is like, the word surrender often can be feel very intimidating or uncomfortable, I think, for many people, including myself. I sometimes feel like that word surrender is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But the principle of surrender is very powerful and very beautiful by whatever word we want to associate it with. It could be acceptance. One word that I really love when I think of surrender that works for me a lot is just non-resistance. Often we're resisting life, we're resisting a lot of things, and when we surrender, we just allow what is, we just stop resisting it and let it to be there. So there's a surrender, we kind of fall into it, fall into our longing, and we realize that actually if we allow ourselves to do that, it's not exactly what we imagined it to be. It's something different. Longing is so powerful. Longing is the force that drives us to make changes and transform our world. Whether any activist has a deep longing, for justice, for truth, whatever word may resonate, but it's that longing, that deep feeling that moves forward, that moves us. So Thy Will Be Done, to me, is a song of surrender, of non-resistance, of opening to the will of my heart, to hear what the wisdom of my heart has to say, not the will of my mind, which is always coming up with stories and fantasies and seeing things through filters, because our mind really does not see things as they are. Our mind sees things as we are. Our mind sees things through the conditioning of our past experiences. So we're all wearing these filters, these glasses. And when we do any type of spiritual practice, it's like we're clearing that away so we can have a better vision. So this song is Thy Will Be Done. Jai Bhagavan. Victory to the Lord of my heart, to Bhagavan, different ways of translating that. Thy will be done, and then the prayer of St. Francis, and then sing Shri Ram Jai Ram. So if you know, you can sing along. Always live, it's a little different from the recording, but it's spontaneous. Ready to roll? Every now and then we just tell you, we have all these this mixing board and all of these cables and all of these different like contraptions, and every now and then, obviously, when we do live gigs, we're not like wearing headphones, and so it's kind of vulnerable sometimes because we both have issues with our ears, and every now and then something happens with the sound gear and it's like a loud click in our ears or something, and so we might jump if we hear a noise because we don't know what's going on. So just letting you know, if we look like we're like surprised out of the blue, it's just
Strange
because.
things happen.
What's that?
Strange
Things are happening. So just want you to know that. But you don't have to. It's good to keep your eyes closed. Close your eyes. Don't watch us. One sec. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. Make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is despair, ooh, where there is darkness, let me sow light. Where there is sadness, let me sow joy. Let me sow joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born
to eternal life. Amen. Amen. Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan, thy will be done, thy will be done, thy will be done. Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan, thy will be done. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Oh, thy will, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, thy will be done. Jai Bhagavan, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Let the will of my heart, let the will of my heart, I let go, I surrender, I let go, I let go, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. Thy will be done. Let go. I surrender. Let go. I surrender. Let go. I surrender. Jai Bhagavan, make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. We feel into the words of Saint Francis. Make me an instrument. Isn't that all of our deepest longings in some way? To be an instrument? For love to come through us in this life in whatever way is natural to all of us. That we may fulfill the will of our heart and not get lost in the will of our head, the will of our mind that's always deceiving us. So may we all become instruments in the hands of the intelligence of life, whatever that means to you. May we surrender to the wisdom of our heart. I let go, I surrender. I let go, I let go, I surrender, I surrender. I surrender. I surrender to my heart, to my heart. I surrender to my heart. I will be done. Jai Bhagavan. Jai Bhagavan. I will be done. I will be done. Jai Bhagavan. Jai Bhagavan. I will be done.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your donations too. So grateful. Really appreciate it. It's funny doing music in the pandemic. It just requires so much adaptability. May the will of my heart be done, not the will of my head. I just love that prayer. When I really sit with those words, maybe may I be an instrument. May I be, may the love come through me in this life in some way, somehow. May I get out of my own way. It's just so touching. It's really easy to forget that, or to get lost in the sea of to-do lists and things that are going on. Most of us, for the most part, are householders, or we're not living in a Himalayan cave for the most part. So here in this world, we have a lot of things to do, a lot of stuff going on. And so it's not always easy to find the time to actually even be with our own longing, our own feelings. A couple of years ago, before the pandemic, I used to teach at a women's retreat festival. It's kind of a hybrid thing, and really beautiful event. And it took place on top of a mountain, and we would have maybe like 180 women, and it was very intimate, even though there were a lot of people there. We would gather, and often on one of the evenings I would lead like a ceremony of some kind, or usually revolving around music, but it would have a theme. A lot of times there would be like a forgiveness ceremony, because many of you know that I really think forgiveness is important, and it's a big part of what I offer. But one year, a couple of years ago, I offered a program with music, but it was really about longing in a way. And so one of the other women who was teaching there was a curandera from Nicaragua, and she worked doing limpia, like cleansing, with roses. And so there were 600 roses there at this program, and I was able to use some of these roses in my program. And so as part of the program that I led, I had every woman take a rose, and women were walking all around this big tent that we were in, this big kind of platform, but it was open to the outside with the trees. It's just a really beautiful place. And so I was singing and guiding, because usually the way that I often lead my programs is I sing, but then I guide, or I talk like while I'm singing or whatever, to create like meditation kind of through the music. And the women were all walking around holding these flowers, and were singing. And then at one point they stopped, and I asked the women to just hold that flower, and to speak into that flower their deepest longings and desires. And you may think this is so weird, or you might roll your eyes or whatever, but I just invite you to just hold off on any cynicism or whatever, because really there's many ways to be in this world that have more of a sense of reverence, and we've forgotten those things, or we tend to just roll our eyes when we hear about things. But if we can remain open, there's just a lot of possibilities. So anyway, the women were holding the flower, and I was just singing, and I was guiding the women, to just connect to that rose, that had arrived there for them. and to just speak, offer their heart into that flower, and to let that flower become like a witness to their heart's deepest longings and desires. I didn't know when I kind of came up with that idea to do that program or whatever, how deeply emotional and powerful it would be. But as I was guiding it, I realized that all of looking around the room at like 100 and whatever 80 women that were there standing with their flowers, that so many women just had these tears coming down, because that feeling of never allowing oneself to actually feel one's deepest longings and desires, never mind to express them, to feel like it's okay to have longings, to feel like it's okay to give voice to them. It's really powerful. And so when, you know, the women were doing that, it was very, very moving to witness that. And then after each woman had spoken and sort of offered her prayers or her heart to this flower, walked around, and then eventually two women would kind of face each other and look at each other and then exchange flowers. And so the other woman was kind of witnessing that other woman's desires or longings that she had put into the flower. It was just a really simple ritual, but I learned so much from it, and it was just really beautiful to behold that whole thing happen, to just watch that. So I think we have many different levels of longing, you could say. You know, there's ways in which we oftentimes get stuck in a rut in our life or whatever. We may have desires or longings, you know, to do work that really inspires us, or to have a certain, you know, place to live that's different from what we have, whatever it may be, you know, that we don't actually allow ourselves to feel into that for whatever reason. And so when we can touch that longing, it can be a very powerful, potent place, often pretty emotional. You know, why do we think that, you know, we need to settle in so many areas of our lives? It's a really good question. Many of us do settle for different things. It's complicated, right? Because there's so many different reasons and factors for everything, and I recognize that. But I think it's just a question to ask ourselves: where may I be settling or holding myself back in certain ways that I'm longing for something different? Why don't I give that to myself? Or why am I not letting myself feel into whatever that is? It's a pretty big one to sit with, you know. And then I think underneath that type of longing is really a more of a primordial longing that I was talking about before, almost like that existential longing that is beyond anything, you know, that we can touch in this world, but something deeper, like that feeling of separation from the source of who we are. The pain that we feel from that separation is like a driving energy. It's a power within us if we could feel that. So in the Hindu tradition, Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance, and she, in many ways, fulfills our desires for whatever we may be kind of longing for. Oftentimes, people will pray to Lakshmi, you know, please may I have either material abundance, spiritual abundance, different things. She has multiple arms. Some of them are in the spiritual realm, some of them are in the material realm. And so we're gonna sing a song that I sang recently that some people have asked if I would sing it again, which is just a little song, a mantra to Lakshmi, to the presence of Lakshmi. And I invite you to just let yourself, you know, dream into that mantra, like your desires, your longings, whatever they may be, you know, to let yourself feel that. So yeah, we're gonna do that now. Sorry, 1 second. Just gotta get my synthesizer. We'll do the poem first. See. So I'm going to read you a little prayer, a little poem that I just love before we enter into that space of Lakshmi, the giver of all abundance. Just to bless this journey that we're on, whatever this exploration is, you know. There's no answers, I don't think. There's just questions. But when we can sit in those questions, there's something really beautiful that often happens just by being with the questions themselves. That's what Rilke said. Just be with those questions. So this is a beautiful poem from John O'Donohue, who many of you know. I just love so much his writings, and he expresses things so beautifully. So I invite you to receive these words from him as a meditation and as a blessing. It's called For Belonging. May you listen to your longing to be free. May the frames of your belonging be generous enough for your dreams. May you arise each day with a voice of blessing whispering in your heart. May you find a harmony between your soul and your life. May the sanctuary of your soul never become haunted. May you know the eternal longing that lives at the heart of time. May there be kindness in your gaze when you look within. May there be kindness in your gaze when you look within. May you never place walls between the light and yourself. May you never place walls between the light and yourself. May you allow the wild beauty of the invisible world to gather you, mind you, and embrace you in belonging. Om Shrim Shri Lakshmi Om Shrim Shri Om Shrim Shri Lakshmi Om Shrim Shri Om Shrim Shri Om Shrim Shri Om Lakshmi for your grace on me. Om Shrim Shri Om Shrim Shri Om Shrim Shri Om Shrim Shri Om Lakshmi for your grace on me. Om Lakshmi for your grace on me. For your grace on me. Om Lakshmi Om Shrim Shri Lakshmi Om Shrim Shri
Shrim Shriye Lakshmi, Om Shrim Shriye. For your grace on me, oh Lakshmi, for your grace on me, oh Lakshmi, for your grace on me, for your grace on me, oh Lakshmi. Feel into your deepest longings, those deepest desires of your heart, whatever they may be. Just let them rise to the surface. Don't judge them. Don't analyze them. Just let them be there. Where do they come from? What's underneath those longings? And send the blessing of the mantra to these longings, that their deepest purpose may be fulfilled, that the highest happiness may be fulfilled, maybe in ways that we can't imagine at this time with our limited consciousness. Om Shrim Shriye Lakshmi, Om Shrim Shriye, Om Shrim Shriye Lakshmi, Om Shrim Shriye. For your grace on me, oh Lakshmi, for your grace on me, oh Lakshmi, for your grace on me, for your grace on me, oh Lakshmi. Om Shri Shri Lakshmi, 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 Mahalakshmi, Lakshmi, Mahalakshmi, Lakshmi. Breathe in, hold for a moment, and then just exhale through your whole body. Just release everything. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, for your attention, your presence. It means so much to me, and it's just so special to be able to share this time and to talk about these subjects that we don't really get to talk about that much. I don't know, it's like such a relief, to the heart to talk about these types of things. And obviously, thank you so much, Eugene. I'm so grateful to Eugene. He's such an incredible artist.
And Eugene is a singer-songwriter, actually. He has lots of albums in English, and he also sings in Italian. But his music is truly beautiful, Eugene Ruffalo, so I encourage you to check it out. Really remarkable. So whenever I get to sing with you, with him, it's a really special day because we kind of just can weave our voices together. And the beauty of this kind of music is it's not like there's rehearsal. It's not like you plan out or we don't plan out what we're going to do. It's just whatever arises in the heart, to just let that come up and be there, because like I said before, it's not like a performance. This music is like an offering. It's an expression of something deep inside, of our longing, you could say. So we're going to end with Deep Peace, the song Deep Peace that many of you know. Deep Peace is based on a Gaelic blessing. Such beautiful words. And I added a few words to it at the end. May you always walk in beauty. May you always rest in love. May you always feel at home. May you never feel alone. Those beautiful words. We all need to hear that we're not alone. Well, at least I do. In fact, when I wrote those words, I wrote them because I was feeling alone. So I was trying to tell myself, you're not alone. I'm not sure if I believed myself in that moment, but I probably did on some level. Even though we don't think we feel alone sometimes, but some deeper part of us knows that maybe we're actually not. Maybe actually we're connected to everything that is, not in some kind of like Pollyanna platitude way, but like in a genuine sense, because actually that is the quantum physics 101, right? Everything is waves, everything is all connected. There's, if you shake a blanket on one side, the reverberations are felt on the other side. If you throw a rock in a lake, the ripples go out across the lake. Everything is affected by everything else. I just want to read you this little quote from Mayor Baba, who was another great being who lived. He was a spiritual master. He said, "The longing to go back to the source is present in each being from the very time that it is separated from the source by the veil of ignorance." It's really beautiful. I'll read it again. "The longing to go back to the source is present in each being from the very time that it's separated from the source by the veil of ignorance." I just love that because, I think that longing in some ways is the deepest part of our longing, is that desire to not feel separate. And it's only this, like he says, this veil of ignorance, this Maya. In Sanskrit, it's called Maya, which is the veil of illusion that comes down over our eyes, that makes us feel like we're lone actors, separated individual floating islands in a big world, little tiny atoms all alone. But that's an illusion, and so the desire to come back to that feeling of unity, to not feel that separation, I think is deep within every heart, and that's what he's saying. That longing is present in every being from the time that ignorance made us feel separate. That longing to return is there. So if we could just come back to that, to just feel that, whatever it may be, who knows? Who knows what's possible? Who knows what kind of world we can create, actually, if we feel into our longing. The longing to create a more harmonious, peaceful, beautiful world, a world that is grounded in justice for all, peace for all. This is a deep longing, to take care of this world and be stewards to this planet. That in itself is a deep longing, because nature is not separate from us, it is us. So anyway, I think that's also something beautiful that we can sit with. So deep peace to you. This is a blessing from my heart to you, and I hope that you can take in the words, really receive those words, and let yourself feel deep peace. Deep peace of a running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to
quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Sound like a little kid. Deep peace of a running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle light to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace to you. May you always walk in beauty. May you always rest in love. May you always feel at home. May you never feel alone. You're not 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 alone. Oh, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri 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 Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Deep peace of a running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle light to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace to you.
deep peace. So I'm going to close with 9. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be peaceful and happy. This is a way of dedicating the merit of our time together, that all beings may benefit from it. And let us please send our love and prayers to Afghanistan. It's a very dire situation. Please, please, may there be peace there and in this world. Sending our love to Haiti. Sending our love to all who may be suffering from this continuing coronavirus pandemic. All beings. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Lokaha Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you. So grateful to all of you. Thank you, Yuji. I was laughing sometimes when I sing. I sound like a little kid. It's just funny, you know. It's one thing when you do it in your living room with your house plants, but when there's like 1,100 people watching, it's always a really good way to learn to just surrender more deeply and just remember the truth of what this practice is, which it's a practice. It's a practice, and it has nothing to do with what our voices sound like actually in truth. It's about our heart. It's about what we feel in our heart and what we express through our voice. You know, that's what comes through, and that's what matters. So I encourage you to sing in whatever way feels right to you. And as I said to someone once in my circle who said they only sing in the shower, I just said that the whole world is your shower. So go sing. And sit with your longing, you know, feel into your longing, talk about it, think about it, write about it. What is that for you? What does that mean to you to have these longings in your heart? And what is the depth of your longing? Maybe it's bottomless, you know, but I know for sure one thing that I long for is for peace on this planet that is so in need of love and care. This Mother Earth is suffering, and we are all suffering because of that, because we're a part of Mother Earth. So I trust and really do believe, actually, that every little drop that we put towards our own awakening of our heart, it contributes positive energy to this world. And I believe that this time that we spend together, you know, in a sangha, in a community, just being honest and, you know, talking about these things and practicing and connecting to our deepest intention, that adds something positive to this world. So may we all be instruments, and may we all learn from St. Francis and be inspired by that, and may we all keep coming back to our longing and not let the world pull us away from it, because I think our longing has something to offer us, something to teach us. So thank you again so much. I don't have another live scheduled yet, but I will add some soon. I'm always open to any feedback or suggestions that you have of themes that are interesting to you that you might like to explore. And you're welcome to join my circles. It's not my circle, our circle. It's called Friends of Carrie Grossman. And I think that's about it for now. Thank you for staying so long. I know I tend to go this long amount of time because I often feel like in an hour I'm like trying to rush through things, and I really don't want the time that we spend doing our spiritual practice to be like just another thing on our to-do list or something that's like a turbo, drive-through experience that we're just rushing through. To give ourselves that time to go deep and to have that is a gift that we can give ourselves, and it's not only for ourselves, it's for the whole. So anyway, friends of Carrie Grossman, um, thank you so much. Really, so much love to all of you. I really appreciate you, and I will see you soon. And thank you for your donations. Means a lot to me. There's so many amazing teachers offering, and I know it can be a lot to just donate all the time. So when you do, when you can, please know how much I appreciate it. And your presence is actually the biggest gift to me. So thank you. Thank you.